Ladies and gentlemen, look who we have here, Kliff himself. Alec, it's a pleasure and honor to be speaking to you today. How are you, mate? Thanks for coming on.
I'm good, Dan. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Should I tell them or should you about that statue on the left? I kind of set you up there, haven't I?
What statue? This. Dan, ladies and gentlemen, asked me to bring this and have it in the background. This is this is
Oh,
this Still Wakes the Deep After, which I'm
great
obviously
game. Great game.
deeply proud of. Thank you very much. But yeah, it was you. I want it known that it was you that made me put that there. There was.
So, you're finally here. You were expecting me?
Well, you Greymanes are a hard lot to kill, clawing your way back from death's door over and over. How'd you do it? Let's find out, shall we?
I haven't
Yeah.
beaten the game yet. It's a bit
No.
long. I know you've I'm sure you
I've
know.
heard. I've heard.
There's only so many hours in the day.
It's all right. This thing will still be there. It's made of bronze, I think. It'll be there. Um, no, it's. I mean, I'm interestingly as well, or maybe not that interestingly. I ceased. I've never really been a proper gamer. I've never. It was only ever PS. Well, the last one I had was a PS4. I was a PlayStation, and it was mainly FIFA.
FIFA. Yeah.
So I've sort of learned through doing this work. I know that PC is generally better, and most of the devs go for in a game like this. They'll target that first and get that nailed on. So I've never felt like I'm a real gamer. I was Commodore 64, Commodore Amiga.
Okay.
Um, I bet I started in a place that existed before you were born, right? Commodore 64, I'm guessing. And then I PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, and then we had my wife and I had a baby, and it just sort of stopped. The FIFA kind of trickled on for a bit, and then it just too much
How old's,
bother.
how old's your little one? I got a 1-year-old.
I've got it's 7. Yeah.
7. Nice.
So that takes up a lot of time. But I lack patience in gaming, so I suspect that Crimson Desert would be particularly tough
So what
for
if she
me.
said, Dad, I want to play Crimson Desert?
I
Well,
would say it's not appropriate for a 7-year-old. I have this problem with my daughter. Most of the stuff that I do, be it games or
yeah, still wakes the
or,
deep.
or,
Yeah.
or film, television, or I mean, the last play I did was a Scottish play, and it was a particularly bloody version featuring people being killed with hammers. So nothing that I generally do is particularly appropriate um, for her. So that's what I would say at the moment. Who knows in the future? We've got a Switch 2.
Oh
I
no.
think they were talking about Switch 2, weren't they, for this? I can't imagine
Geez, good luck
how.
getting this game on a Switch too.
No, I know exactly. So not an avid gamer, but I had, certainly when I was a teenager and stuff. I really aspired and sort of admired people that really really got into story driven games like RPGs,
Yeah.
but I never. It wasn't quite my niche. I was more like, obviously, FIFA, and
Any other games?
I was there was a period of time I tried The Witcher 3, um, but that was in very late in my gaming career on PS4,
And you were in
and
that,
and
weren't
so
you? You were in
yeah,
that game.
I
Yeah.
did some bits and pieces in
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I never got to the bit that I was in, um, but I yeah, it's mostly been football. football games. I really wanted to be a footballer when I was a young man, and I had a horrible injury, which took me in the direction of pretending for a living instead. So it was really mostly like, football games.
What kind of injury did you get?
I smashed my knee to smithereens. I smashed up my tibia in a nasty tackle, and so yeah, I had to sort of adapt to it.
Do you still remember the crack, the punch of that tear or whatever it was?
I still remember the pain.
Yeah.
It was sort of trippy pain. It was so painful. Ah, there is a dog there. Yeah.
Winnie.
You've got the dog. I've got this BAFTA, and you've got the dog. Nice. Yeah, I remember it being very, very painful, and the rehab after it wasn't great either. It took a long time. I've had a couple of operations since to clean it out and stuff, and I'm probably heading in the direction of a knee replacement, but I maintain it. So I was supposed to have had one already, and I'm way past the point of needing it. I do a lot of cycling. Got a little Peloton in the house, so I try and keep it going. There's all sorts of jabs and injections now that stave off surgery. So
So it still kind of lingers a bit, the pain, or is it? It's not a pain.
Yeah, I mean, I don't look it, but I'm 51 years old. So pushing into the 50s, like you're like, oh, okay. But like I said,
but isn't everything painful when you're 50?
No, not everything. Just most things, Yeah. So how have you found it?
I'm in love, man. I think this is one of the great games I've ever played. Seriously.
Right.
And I think you've done a bang up job. It's a bit tough to compare the writing of this game to Still Wakes the Deep, because Still Wakes the Deep was some of the best writing I've seen in any medium, let alone a game. I mean, the characters felt so real. I thought I actually thought these guys aren't actors. They've just gotten. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it didn't feel like you were acting.
Well, I'll tell you the difference with that, and I'll speak a little bit about the sort of video game world and stuff. Still Wakes the Deep, we had a cast that would have been perfectly acceptable and a really good cast for a television or a movie version of Still Wakes the Deep. We didn't really have quote unquote voice actors. We had people that would probably play those roles in a television or a movie version of Still Wakes the Deep. I may have been battling it out with, Ewan
McGregor or who?
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But what I'm saying about the entire, because lead roles are lead roles, right? But the entire rest of the cast, you would definitely expect that very probably they would be perfectly acceptably and brilliantly cast in a screen version of it. Not unlike any other game that I have worked on, that cast was like not a video game cast, and that's not to do people whose mainstay is voice acting down at all. All that I mean is, it's interesting, following on from your comment, that was the case with how they put that cast together. And I do feel that the video game sector of our industry, and I say ours, an actor that works across all sort of media, thankfully, they still haven't found me out. But the video game sector, there are people who have mined that as their mainstay because they're very successful and they were in huge titles. And let's face it, the video game sector is probably, it's more lucrative than movies, television, and the music industry thrown together. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in terms of revenue, you mean?
In terms of revenue,
yeah.
I mean, it's clear, it's way ahead.
Yeah, dominates.
Getting a bit self-conscious with that in the back.
You can move it if you need.
Nah, it's fine. So let's leave it. So what I mean to say is, it has become a separate thing all of itself, and there are let's say, stars of video game acting, I have found that as try as I might, I can't wriggle into that mold. So when I'm asked about it, I just sort of talk about the nuts and bolts of it. You know, like you mentioned the writing, which I knew this was going to be a good chat because you talked about writing very early on. The whole pizzazz and the buzz of the video game performers world, I discovered at the pre-BAFTA party, you know, and I was like, what is going on? There are all these, you know, and lovely people. Lovely people. Ben Starr, Neil Newbon, you know, they were all very, very lovely to me. But I realized that on that night that there is definitely
There a click going on.
Yeah, kind of, and because they're all really good at it. But there's kind of a Hollywood Reporter version of voice actors for games, which to me is very weird because it's sort of anonymous. You're kind of in a booth, like no one sees you. They just see Kliff, or they just see. Well, you don't even see Kaz. You only ever hear him. So it's become fascinating to me that I have been sort of accepted into that kind of area. And what's really exciting is that the technology, in most cases, the writing, and the sort of world building game to game is it feels like it's accelerating. I don't know what you think, but what was acceptable 3 years ago would be complete dud now. You wouldn't be able to, you know, you need more. Well, maybe not 3 years, but 5, 6, 7 years ago.
No, I agree.
Completely different output from most of these companies.
It's funny, someone like Ben Starr or even Neil Newbon, they're very well known in the space, as you say, but you probably have done more work. If we look, you've probably done more video game work than them. If we look at the raw numbers, like you've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. 12, I think 12 or 13 years ago, I started doing this, and yeah, you might well be right.
It might just be a social media thing.
Well, you could probably, I mean, you don't have to be Columbo to guess that my tech savvy is probably not. I'm not like, what is he? Why is it plugged in, guys? What are you doing? I'm going to put them on the BAFTA. I'll put them on the but yeah, I mean, listen, the way that those Alex Wilton Regan is another one, you know.
Tomb Raider.
Pepe's actually a great pal of mine. But what's happened is they have forged a new identity for voice performers in the industry, you know, and why not? You know, I've just struggled, sort of, kind of not really, it's kind of not who I am, you know. But they're very. And I met some amazing people that they have a party the night before the BAFTAs, you know, so you can meet everybody, and yeah, it was a really warm room in terms of people, you know, and the attitude and the celebration of it, whilst being slightly strange as well.
Do you like the anonymity of this line of work?
I would have to say that despite what you would often think about actors, you know, if you put yourself out in a medium, you know, there's this assumption, obviously, maybe rightly, actors want to be famous, and anyone who says they don't want to be famous is lying, right? Which is true. It's true. But there are people. It's interesting. You've located something early on there with some of the other people we've been talking about. There are people who are really, really good at sort of promoting their work, being very warm in the world, drawing people to them as an entity that produces work. And there are people that are not very good at it. And quite late on in my career, I've realized I've never been that great at that kind of stuff. Do you know?
Yeah.
And I think one of the deepest killers is if you're spotted taking yourself too seriously ever. You know,
Have you been found out by that, or you're not yet?
Take the work. I try not to do it anymore. I think I had some periods in my 30s and 40s where it was just all a bit taking myself a bit too seriously. But
yeah,
take the work seriously, but never take yourself too seriously. Because if you get to do what we get to do, it's too much fun. You know, it's too much fun. You know, I've always been very grateful that I have been allowed to and continue to be allowed to do a job that I chose, that I wanted to do, you know. And then to earn a living, as Harrison Ford said in that speech, to earn a living on top of that is just a cheeky bonus, do you know? So the game stuff, which I think it was 12, 13 years ago now, I got myself a voice agent and didn't hear anything for a whole year. And then I went in to do, I thought, well, that's never going to happen then. That's just not going to be for me. And I went into, I think it was Side, who are a company that record a lot of this Side and Liquid Violet and Molyneux and some other companies, but Side do an awful lot. And all the recording for Crimson Desert was done at Side. They brought me in and they said, what accents can you do? And I said, well, what have you got bits of script? So they gave me some bits of script and it was like a big test. And then I left that day thinking, well, I don't know what all that was about. And then I started to pick up work very, very slowly, very gently with them.
Do you remember the first game or not?
Do you know? I think it was either Dragon Age, Sebastian Vale, or it was maybe Fable 2.
Damn, man, there's some classic games,
which I think was directed by Kate Saxon, who directed Still Wakes the Deep.
Well, funnily enough, Kate directed another great game this year, Resident Evil, which I think you had a part in that too, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I did. I have a great relationship with Kate, and
she's brilliant. She obviously did Still Wakes the Deep as well, didn't she?
She did. She was fantastic. I mean, I did credit a lot of the success of that to her approach. She came out of the theatre like most of us do, but she directed it character driven, and because the script was character driven, it worked. I think it was Fable. Yeah, it might be.
Your words reek of deceit, witch. Are you all right?
I talked a little bit about where the sort of voice came from. It was a family member who sadly passed away. And I think the combination of him originally being called Macduff, which guides you in a certain direction, and I had gleaned that the character was quite reserved, didn't give much away. Initially, there wasn't much dialogue at all. That was the thing. I was going in for sessions. And the sessions were taking a while because we were doing it to picture a lot of the time. So, but it was like 4 lines. It'd take 40 minutes because you had to sync. But yeah, I tried this voice, and people just responded to it. And because it was something personal to me, I also at that moment attached myself to it. So for better or worse, that became Kliff's.
But did you think you brought something of that family member into the character besides the voice?
Absolutely. Well, the family member was Scottish, and Kliff is also Scottish, and I'm also Scottish. So I think that kind of talked a lot about his stoicism, being a man of few words, which I know is a cliche, but it applies. It applies to him. I still don't know where Kliff comes from, what his upbringing as a child was. The devs were very focused on the present, which is smart. So anywhere we got a chance to be remotely funny or even gently humorous, we lent into it. And anything so the focus really became almost entirely in terms of his emotional life, his yearning and his need for this brotherhood of Greymaids became almost the complete core of who he was. And also then I got to find out, as they kept writing the game and adding different dimensions to what Kliff is doing and where he's at, and the whole story about the abyss, and without giving too much away, the whole kind of sort of parallel universe that exists alongside the game in real time. So the same thing could be true of his character. Love working with Mark. I love going to Side in North London. I have a little Brompton bicycle that I take to Waterloo. Sorry, and I cycle up there, and I arrive sweaty and not looking great. Again, see, don't fit into the mold of that. Yeah, anyway.
What do I do if I see you on that little bike? What should I shout out if I'm in the area?
Dickhead usually gets, attracts attention, but it is London, everybody swears at each other.
Sorry, go on. Yeah,
I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, there were moments where it was very challenging.
Yeah,
the anchor and most of those moments was Mark Healy, the director, who was very, very good, and Kate's very good at this as well. Before it gets to me in the booth, and I go, but what about this? Mark was very good at asking the questions first, so that the information that was coming from Pearl Abyss through the desk into my earphones before we recorded had already been discussed. I mean, I must confess, there were as the process sort of began to wrap up, or what we thought that it was done sort of a few times, and then it kept extending, understandably, there were moments and scenes and sequences where I could detect an entry point for a more rounded emotional life for Kliff. But part of the point is that isn't explored. So it's a very, very tricky place to put the player.
But it's interesting that the story's not the focus, but the voice acting, the acting, I should say, in the game is top notch across the board.
Very kind. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? From not just yourself, from everyone.
Yeah.
So it's you know what I mean?
It's an incredible cast. And, I have a very good sense of Kliff as a character. So if they said to me, okay, in this scene, this is where he tells Unka about his childhood or what have you, I would know what to do. And if they gave me something and I didn't think it worked, I would say, well, that doesn't really feel like what it is.
Can I put you on the spot? Would you, if they said, we'd like you to write for the character, think you could do
it? Yeah, but this is where the medium comes in. I think I could write, certainly write. You see, with a character like Kliff, it's more about what he doesn't say than what he does. But I think the answer would be yes. But
fitting it into the medium,
because the medium, Pearl Abyss, they have an output, and that's what they do. They make games, they develop video games, and not every video game is as cinematic as, for example, Still Wakes the Deep, or The Last of Us, or etc., etc. But what's cool, the stage that it's at, they keep, redeveloping it and releasing patches and stuff. The characters are all there. Like, I know Stuart and I know Rebecca. I know that they will have done what I did. They have a character. They have facets of character. But what's cool is, I mean, it's unavoidable when you work on something for so long, actually. You build up and there was a little break in recording, and when I went back, I saw that this will illustrate my point, really. I thought, oh God, can you play me the ref? And they played me the ref, and I was like, oh God, is that okay? And I went to the mic to do, we do this thing called answer and repeat. And it came straight out, and it was exactly the same.
Oh wow!
It for so long.
It's just
straight
there.
Away.
Yeah.
So, and with as fine a cast as Crimson Desert has, that'll be the same for everybody. And Peter Bramhill plays Jan. I've been acting with him and speaking opposite him for years. I met him for the first time the other day.
Oh,
he's fantastic. Some of the finest swearing in video game.
Dude, you swore. What was the game you swore? I swear you were dropping C bombs as Atom Smasher in Cyberpunk. I never see that word in a game.
No,
ever.
No. And also, I mean, Still Wakes the Deep in sum total, I think, is one of the sweariest games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ever. But it's kind of,
it's a part of it. Yeah.
It's a part of the locale So it's not, the C word is a term of affection in Glasgow. So
Same here. Same in Australia. Yeah.
yeah,
Same
excellent,
thing.
mate. Yeah, yeah.
Some people will say C as a term of endearment.
Yeah,
100%.
he's a good.
Yeah, it's not exactly classy, but
Nah,
yeah.
nah,
I don't go around saying it personally.
no, mate.
With have you ever seen Hugh Jackman? Speaking of Aussies, when he plays the Wolverine, he goes into the ADR to do the additional voices, and you see him doing these efforts and going, Have you seen that? You were a bit like that for this, weren't you? Kind of
Yes.
matching for the efforts. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and actually, originally, I'm really glad you asked that, because, and he came into my head because I'd seen that video of him doing the Wolverine, it's like, for the fight sequences. Originally, what Pearl Abyss, because they send all the cues over, in an Excel file that Side are really good at. They have to prep it all before the actors come in, because otherwise it takes too long. And that was challenging for them, especially as things changed.
100%.
But the fight sequences would come, and the cues would be, so one cue would be a punch, one cue would be a parry, one cue. And I saw the sheet and I went like that. I said, Mark, can you just run picture and open the mic? And they record what they call a stem. I'm probably telling you stuff, So a stem is when everything is a keeper, so you just need one take, and then they can take bits.
Yeah.
So the fight sequences, I think there's a fight very late in the game with your man, big. Anyway, no spoilers.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's some of the best mocap combat I have ever seen in a movie, in anything. We're talking about different mediums. It is unbelievable. I said, "Is that mocap?" And they said, "Of course it's mocap. We can't do it otherwise." So we recorded that, and this is what we did with all the fights. Just opened the mic. I did 2 or 3 takes, just doing what I would do in my kitchen, not being paid, but in the booth being paid. Making noises basically, gives you, And then we go in and cherry pick little bits that I slightly missed, but I got very good at doing that.
Damn.
And it saved us a lot of time, and it was really good fun.
And so do you end up going home and then sprinkling that in when you get out of bed? You go, ugh, that kind of thing.
No, I do that anyway. It became like a little workout. Go to Side, recording on Crimson Desert. We lost about 3 pounds.
So where would you? This is a question that you're not confirming anything, guys, or anything. I just want to ask you, where would you like to take the character in the future? Would you like to go back to his past, or maybe some a romance or something, or where would you go with him?
I always think I can't really say where I would want to go, because at the moment the Crimson Desert experience is mostly informed by my amazement at how quickly things have changed, how many copies they've sold.
I know
the sort of the buzz of it all. So I'm just trying to retune and sort of take that in properly. All I will say is where he came from is always interesting. And with characters that don't give much away in terms of emotion, I usually sense some kind of trauma or a broken heart or something horrendous that happened earlier in their life. It's just a kind of tropey character thing that probably.
Well, seems to be all the heroes have the toughest life.
Yeah. But there's something. I'm still fascinated by the fact that he is almost determined to be on his own at all costs. And the relationship with the brotherhood, the relationship with Unka is very interesting. And we got to a lot of that stuff with Unka, Stewart's character, very late. And when we recorded some of their interactions, it felt like we should have been doing it the entire time. Do you know what I mean? There was real juice in that. So it'd be good to explore that some more. But I'm also aware that apart from Kliff, there are many, many characters in this that could be fleshed out and filled out. But whether people want to know more is an entirely, different question. But who knows? Maybe there's an iteration of Crimson Desert where these things become important, and because of the metaphysical world that we talked about that runs parallel to what's actually happening in real time in the game, could go anywhere. I mean, there's already, without spoilers, there's already some of that in the game. So maybe you could go back as well. Who knows?
There's so much content in this game. It's staggering. I don't know. I don't know how familiar you are with the actual gameplay, but I mean,
Not at all. I haven't played it.
I've played 90 hours. Okay.
Wow.
So yeah. And I've uncovered half the map. There's still half the map I have never seen.
Yeah. I had a go years ago. You asked me about other games. I had a go at Red Dead 2.
Yeah. What'd you think?
And I really started to get into that. But then, yeah, I'm terrible with patience games,
Just a bit slow?
A bit slow and a bit impatient. If there's a bit I get stuck on, I'm like, but now of course you just go on YouTube and somebody's done it in 30 seconds without even thinking about it with their eyes closed, so.
Yeah, that's me.
There you go. There you go.
By the way, shout out to this guy who
oh yes,
who did the mocap and the face model, Trevor. Shout out to him. Yeah.
No, brilliant, Trevor. We had a little chat via the wonders of the internet a couple of weeks ago, and he's like I said, some of the mocap is incredible, and obviously it's done first, so I am unavoidably and probably subconsciously modeling whatever I'm doing on what I'm seeing. I always do that anyway if I'm asked for. I remember when I voiced Adam Smasher, and they said, "Yeah, I said, "What's he like?" And
mental.
I said, "What?" Mental. They kind of said, "Yeah, he's mental and he's metallic, sort of half cyborg. There's bits of him that are human." I said, "What? A bit like RoboCop?" And they said, "Yeah, but really, really much more of a badass than that." I said, "Have you got a picture of him?" And they said, "No, we don't." And so we kept talking for a bit, and then they said, "Oh, we found the picture of him." So they sent me the picture, and I was like, "Done." Didn't need to ask any of that. As soon as you see what it is.
Yeah.
So with Trevor's work as Kliff, it's really important, especially for a character, as we've said, that doesn't say a whole lot a lot of the time. His physicality is really important. So he's as much Kliff as I am. We had a Kliff baby.
As we wrap up, Ian, thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it.
No worries.
How do you ever think 10, 20 years people are still going to be playing this game? And I'm going to be known for this role for many, many years. Do you ever think about that?
I don't. No, I don't. I think part of the reason is that the job is so transient, so you put down one hat and you're immediately looking to pick up the next.
Yeah.
Like I say, I just shot a little movie the last month or so, which could not be any more different in terms of a character than Kliff.
Can you tell me who it is or not?
We shot an adaptation of a 1967 novel called The Wrong People, which is set in Tangier in the 60s.
Wow.
And,
yeah.
Play an English expat who lives in Tangier and has a relatively dark secret. Yeah, it's kind of not, there's no swords, there's.
So you're always playing characters with secrets.
Yeah, I have played it. Do you know I've played a British expat with a dark secret? I think this is the third time. Oh, it's a British. We need a British expat with a dark secret. Is Alec around? He's doing patches for Crimson Desert. He's not available. So that's good. And like I say, part of my having to get my head straightened about the video game performer world is that I'm, I think for me it's important. If I don't do a play every 18 months, I start to feel a bit dead as an actor. It's really important.
You like the live audience sort of?
I love the live audience, but also you're pretty much guaranteed some absolutely fantastic writing, So I get to do that. I still get asked, and movies, and I'm going to shoot a television series in the summer. So I consider myself extremely fortunate to be able to work across these different mediums. I wouldn't say I'm the best tap dancer in the world, but what's really satisfying about my work in games is that it's all the same stuff. Actually, it's the same thing. It's the same
Acting.
thing. There are
Yeah.
techniques and, working with a microphone, you need to learn about that. I wouldn't be doing Kliff's voice from here. I'd probably be somewhere nearer the mic and doing it. And what you find is that sounds like Kliff. If I did it back here, it wouldn't sound any good. But ultimately, it is all the same thing, and that's really exciting, because if the experience of Crimson Desert being released into the world has taught me anything, it's that fans do really, they're not mugs, to use an Aussie word. They know they're an audience, just like any other audience. They're an audience with much more arthritic thumbs, but you know what I mean. You know that you're it sounds like you're an avid gamer.
How do you get that Aussie accent? Have you spent some time here or what?
I work with a very good friend of mine, Dan McPherson, who's an Aussie actor.
Oh, you worked with him. What on?
We did a show called Strike Back together. I did
a season of Strike Back.
We had my favorite fight that I've ever been in on camera, between his Sergeant Wyatt. I think he was called Wyatt, and I played an evil Russian with no dark secrets, called Pavel Kuragin, and we have this kind of set piece.
Oh, so you do a Russian accent as well?
Fight.
Hey?
Yes.
Yeah. Because in Cyberpunk, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had multiple accents in that game.
Yes. Asher was just sort of I did Anders Hellman, who was Scandinavian.
Yes, that's right.
Kind of, talked to like Arasaka. He kind of talked.
No one would know this is the same actor. That's a skill. That's a skill.
Yeah. That's part of what, like I said, I consider myself very lucky, and I mean that in all seriousness, because if I wasn't being paid to do this in a voice booth with professionals, I would be in my kitchen just doing voices. like I was when I was I was a big mimic when I was a kid,
Do you have a favorite voice you haven't been able to bring out yet?
I don't know. That's a good question.
You've done a lot of different. I'm just wondering if there's one in the piggy bank, that never come out, never the right script,
No, never the right character, really. I do. I like to do impressions as well. So
who have you got? Who have you got? Come on.
But they did Star Wars. Now I was hoping that they would. I was hoping they would give me a shot at Harrison Ford.
Oh, that's cool.
But they asked me to do Yoda, and I can't really do Yoda, so I didn't get the part. It's like,
oh, can you do that Harrison again? That was brilliant.
Not Harrison, but I think there's a guy that does Harrison.
No, but you're the new guy. That was brilliant.
Chewie, let's go home. So there is a guy, isn't there? There's a guy that does Harrison.
Yeah.
And I think because he's in America, if anyone else tries it, you get,
you get up against him. Yeah. Yeah. I think he actually looks like Harrison too. Anything?
He had the plastic surgery.
Anything you want to say to the fans of Crimson Desert or Cyberpunk or your work over the years?
I am enormously grateful and humbled, and so aware of how, just because it's video games, there should be no assumption that the audience's hunger for filled out characters and realistic dialogue is not identical to movies and television. And that's what I want to say. I know that. So I always try my absolute best, were it to be in any medium, not just, games. And when the script is right, the performing is really easy. I'll be honest. I don't want to look fly.
Yeah.
But if the, it's writing is key. I'm absolutely on that. And gamers and fans of Crimson Desert I'm right with you. Yeah, and really, really pleased if you're still enjoying it.
I look forward to anything more you can do with the character. Hopefully a DLC or something, maybe a sequel or whatever. Because as we said, there's so much unexplored territory with him.
It's very weird playing a character that says very little and is so sparing, but over the course of half a decade. So I feel like I know him, and then you could say, "Well, what do you know?" That's
crazy.
I just know him. I just do.
No, but that could be true. You got the feeling of him. Got that feeling. It's not written. It's just a feeling. Yeah, I can get that.
And it's a great process because all I ever saw of Kliff was Trevor's work. Digitized his movement and the way that he moved. It tells you stuff, and you realize all that backwards after the process is finished, which is cool.
Yeah. Thank you very much, man, for your time.
Thank you, mate.
Can last one? Could Kliff say something to Dan? Is that possible? He could bring something out for me.
Dan, there's an animal behind you. Turn around. Don't touch it.
Yeah, go.
You've been watching and listening to the Dan Allen podcast.
Click subscribe. Can you do me that one, please?
Click subscribe. Click subscribe now.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. And follow Alec on Instagram and anywhere else, mate.
No, Instagram's a good one, isn't it?
Beautiful. Yeah. I'll leave it in the description. Make sure to follow Alec and send your praise his way. Pleasure as always, mate. Thank you.
You've been watching and listening to Dan Allen. Click subscribe now.